Bonjour Year 7 and welcome to your first lesson for your lockdown learning in January 2021. This lesson will be a more formal version of what you've been doing over the last few weeks on Moodle. You hopefully have been engaged with the activities that the French department have uploaded on Ma Famille, meaning my family. So if you've done any of that really, you should find some of this a little bit easier to access. We're looking to learn the family members in French in the first instance. We definitely need to practice the pronunciation, and I will need you to get involved and be active in your learning here and repeating things when I ask you to. We're also going to practice our listening and reading skills as well, just to ensure that we know exactly what's going on with the family topic in French. So, my next slide will be about the family members in French, of course. You may recognise some of these words if you've done the work on Moodle, but it's about how they're pronounced. Now, one of the hardest things about French is, of course, the accent, so if you do take the time to repeat after me, then hopefully you will be able to say these words accurately and correctly, which is what it's all about. Okay, so key point number 1. On every slide that you see with a family member on it, you will see il y a. This means there is. It's a key phrase, you will use it a lot, and it's worth making a note of. Now then, the first one I'm going to show you is this. Le père, un père. Now, there's a reason for the different colours here, right? Now, these two words are important, but it's important that we don't mix them up, right? So, le, the, un, a. Now we know that père, hopefully, is dad or father, either one. Focus on the pronunciation here. Père, not père or Pierre or anything like that. Père. The last letter is more or less silent. Look, père. Le père, the father, un père, a father. Please take the time now to repeat that word, le père, un père, a few times to yourself so that you know that you were saying this correctly. Le père, un père. Okay, next. Il y a, there is. Le frère, un frère. Now hopefully we know that a frère is of course the brother, un frère, a brother, le frère, the brother. Not frère or frère or anything like that. Le frère, un frère. Please take the time once again to repeat that word frère to yourself so that you are getting the pronunciation spot on. Le frère, un frère. Moving on. Alright, so once again, il y a, there is, and you can see Grandpa Simpson there having a nice nap. Le grand-père, un grand-père. Now nothing's changed, look, the words still mean the same thing. Le meaning the, un meaning a. Notice that the letter D is silent. Le grand-père, un grand-père. Repeat that a few times to yourself. Le grand-père, un grand-père. Now it might seem a bit silly saying these random French words in your room on your own, but repetition is key. Alright? Repetition is key to making sure that you can say these words correctly. Le grand-père, un grand-père. Next. Perhaps a lesser known character from the Simpsons. This is Bart's uncle. You might notice that there is a slight spelling change here on the top one. L'oncle. It still means the. The reason that there is an apostrophe other than and not a le is because the next word, oncle, begins with a vowel. It flows better. It's a bit better than le oncle. To a French person, l'oncle flows a lot better. Still means the uncle. And un oncle is the same. Oncle, oncle, weird word to say. Try it. Repeat to yourself. L'oncle, un oncle. Now remember that any time you see L apostrophe, it just means that the next word is probably starting with a vowel. Moving on. The eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that we've had a slight difference and change in my note here. Instead of le, we've got la, and we've got une instead of un. You might already know that that means still the and a, but for people and things that are feminine. Now, like in this case, we have the mother, la mère, une mère, mère, mère. Not Mary or Marie or anything like that. Mère. Take a minute, take a couple of seconds to repeat the word la mère, une mère to yourself. Repetition is key to being accurate. La mère, une mère. Okay, next. Il y a, there is. La sœur, une sœur. This is the one that we tend to get a lot of difficulty with because it's just a weird looking word. I mean, look at the text. For one, the O and the E are somehow joined together. It means sister, the sister, a sister. La sœur, une sœur. This is like you're addressing a male member of staff, for example, sir. That's kind of how it sounds, not swire or soir or sirry or anything like that. Sœur. La sœur, une sœur. Repeat 3 times. La sœur, la sœur, la sœur. Une sœur, une sœur, une sœur. Over to you. Sœur. Il y a, there is. La grand-mère. Again, silent D there. Une grand-mère. After 3. 1, 2, 3. La grand-mère. Une grand-mère. Say to yourself a few times to practice the pronunciation. Practice makes perfect. That's what it's all about. Okay, and finally, il y a, there is, and here's a beautiful picture of our 2 aunties here with their hairy legs. Les tantes. As you can see on my notes, les still means the, but it's plural. Now, plural always means more than one, hence the letter S, working exactly the same as it does in English. Les tantes, or if there was only one of them, une tante. Say the word tante to yourself 3 times. Tante, tante, tante. Les tantes, les tantes, les tantes. Une tante, une tante, une tante. What's repetition? It's the key to getting it accurate. Okay, good. So, obviously, practice makes perfect with anything that you do in languages, but here is an overview of the vocabulary that we've seen so far, with 1 or 2 little extras. So anything you see here with an orangey colour before the word, these are all the males in the family, or things that are considered masculine. Le père, le frère. Demi-frère would be a stepbrother or a half-brother. Grand-père, oncle. Le bébé sounds like what it is, the baby. And finally, l'enfant, the child. So wherever you're writing your notes, it might be worth making a note of those. Into the feminine column, all of these are female. So la mère, la sœur. By using our brains, we can figure out that la demi-sœur must be half or step sister. Grand-mère and tante. And finally, with our plurals, les filles, the girls, les garçons, the boys. Plural because both of these words end in an S, as you can see. Les filles, the girls, les garçons, the boys. Okay, excellent. So, that is your pronunciation. You can obviously go back and double check everything as often as you like because this is now on video. The next slide I'm going to show you is a screenshot of the Ponte de la Study Zone Year 7 French Moodle page. Now hopefully the majority of you are familiar with this because you've been working on these activities so far. Under the family and pets heading, I'd like to focus your attention on the most recent one, which is the January Lockdown Learning Lesson 1 worksheet. I've got a set of exercises for you to work on this worksheet, which you will then need to upload to Moodle for your class teacher to mark. You need to click on it, complete the work, of course, and upload. So, before you dive headfirst into that, allow me to explain exactly what I want from you. So, when you have got the worksheet open, you will see exercise number 1, which is a writing task. So here we are, écrit means to write, and Millhouse here is asking you, il y a combien dans ta famille? Asking you how many people are in your family. You need to answer that question, basically. Now, you could do it this way. Dans ma famille, il y a whatever, personne. And in the gap, you are just put in the number. Now, you can find the numbers, of course, either online or if you've got your French books, then refer to those. But that's basic. What I want you to do is to push yourself as much as you can to get a better answer, to get the full 5 marks available. Something like this. Bart here is saying, il y a un, and then he's going to list all of the males in his family. He's then going to write une, and then all of the females. And then if he's got multiple of something, he's going to put a number and a plural, and he finishes off with et moi. Now that looks a little bit confusing with all those colours, so it might be worth seeing an example. At the top here. Il y a mon père, ma mère, ma sœur, mes 2 frères et moi. Here I'm saying there is my dad, my mother, my sister, my 2 brothers and me. Now that's a very good example. You need to be very careful though if you are going to use plurals, because one of the biggest mistakes we see is this, deux sœurs. Why is it an error? Because this person is trying to say 2 sisters, but they've missed off the S. So it should read like that. You will type that up on the dotted lines which have been allocated on the worksheet, and it'll be worth 5 marks. Okay, so next exercise on the worksheet is this one about la famille. Now you've got a slight issue in the sense that your instructions are of course in French. Not to panic though. Complétez le texte avec les mots dans la case. It's asking you to complete the text with the words in the box. And we're talking about this box where my cursor is right now. Before you go any further, your technique is always going to be, do I know what all of these words mean so far? Grand-mère, un, frère, famille, mère, sœur, grand-père, and père. These are all words that we've seen today, so there shouldn't be too many issues. Pay attention, of course, to spelling. Like, for example, this one here, sir, well, it's got an S on it. What does that imply? Plural. So all you've got to do now is decide, right, number 1, Homer Simpson is le. Now, in the Simpsons family, Homer Simpson is the what? Is he the grandmother? Is he the brother? Or is he one of these? Who knows? You put the correct answer in that box. And so on for the rest of them. That'll be worth 8 marks. Your next set of 8 marks comes here. Translate the sentences in English. Now it says here in your books, but on the sheet, you're basically translating these 8 sentences, once they're complete, into English. Meaning the whole exercise will be out of 16. Excuse me. And finally, your next exercise is a listening exercise, which will be worth, I believe it's 12 marks. So, we need you here to listen to the tape, and I'm going to play it now, and write down in English the name of the person you think is talking. So is it Yasmina, Luke, Thomas, Elodie, Akim, or Chloe? And how many siblings that they say they have. So, to figure that out, you look at the pictures. So according to Luke, here he has 1 brother, let's see. And I'm going to play the tape.